Yeah, NFL Week 15, offensive shootouts with the Bills and the Lions.
Seriously, what a game.
That was insane.
Great game. Glad I woke up for that one.
Where Goff almost went for 500 yards
and
500,
didn't he?
Did he go for 500?
It was around, close to.
Yeah, and like 5 touchdowns.
It's crazy.
It still wasn't enough.
He has a game where he throws 5 picks, they win. He has a game where he throws for 500 yards, 5 TDs, don't win.
Yeah.
Like, insane.
It's crazy.
And Josh Allen, I mean, man, we'll get into it when we get into the picks, but...
Did you have this in your picks?
Yeah, I was on Detroit.
Oh, you were too. Yeah.
I said a little preview, but I just assumed that with the Bills coming off a road loss where there was 80-plus points scored, Allen playing crazy, that there'd be a natural letdown spot on the road again against a Detroit team. I just, again, I've got to stop betting against Josh Allen. I've just got to stop betting against Josh. Every time I do it, I get smoked.
You said it when you
I've said
did
it multiple
the thing.
times.
You said the thing that's going to kill me is Josh Allen.
I swear, every time I bet against him, he just plays incredible.
They were missing guys like the past couple of weeks, and they both had Kincaid and Coleman come back that week as well.
In Detroit, just having so many injuries on defense.
Yeah.
Couldn't stop. I mean, Allen literally looked like he was playing high school football.
Yeah.
Whenever they needed a first down, he'd run. When the Detroit needed a stop, it just felt like Allen always had the answer. He really is playing the best football.
Yeah.
Period right now. He's the MVP.
It was also like an out-coach moment as well.
You reckon?
Yeah, like I feel like Buffalo out-coached Lions. But maybe it's just because I'm thinking
that
off the kickoff and all that was probably the worst.
That's the thing, right? I respect the call because he clearly did not trust his defense. Allen was on fire. Why not give it a shot? The problem is the odds this year of onside kicks, because you can't surprise. I think it was 3 have been successful.
Yeah.
I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but it's very low percentage.
Oh, 100%.
Now, it's made worse because they scored a touchdown off it, right? Or they...
No, I think they got to like the 5-yard line or something.
But essentially, so it's made to look worse because it wasn't just an onside kick that was recovered at the 40 or 50.
Yeah.
It was an onside kick that basically was a touchdown instantly, right?
Yeah.
So it was made to look worse, but in a way, and I agree with Nick Wright's point on this, I think the worst element of it for me is that it not just showed to the world, but it showed to the team that the coach doesn't trust their defense to get a stop. And that's concerning going into the playoffs where, as we know, defense is the most important element in the playoffs because it travels, it can go on the road, it can play in the cold. Your offense isn't going to be hot every night. You get nerves, slippery fingers, whatever it is, the multitude of things that can go wrong on offense. You need your defense to show up week in, week out. And if you don't trust your defense, it's very hard to win a Super Bowl. It just doesn't happen very often with the poor defense. And it's unfortunate because of the injuries.
Yeah.
But it's just looking like the Lions, because of the injuries, aren't going to be able to put up that Super Bowl challenge that we thought they would. Halfway through the year, we were saying best team by a mile. And now it's, they're going to be there, but they might be the 5th seed because they got Minnesota on their heels. So
it's just football sometimes the way that it pans out.
That division is, man, they're getting...
Minnesota's on their heels. Obviously, Philly's on their heels for the 1 seed now.
Yeah.
And you got Packers that probably could still jump them in the divisional standings.
Well, they're the same record as Philly, right?
They're the same record as Philly right now.
And Philly have locked up their division easy.
Yeah.
So they're 1 or 2 seed no matter what, really.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, 1 or 2 seed no matter what. Detroit could be 1 seed, 2 seed. No, they couldn't be the 2 seed, could they? Yeah, they could, I guess, because if Minnesota
could be
lose.
The 2 seed,
so 1, 2,
win
5, and possibly, as you said, maybe 6 if they lose all their games and Packers win.
Yeah.
That's high variance
It's
for a team that just lost their 2nd game last week. Sorry. And there's a big difference, as we know, between a 1 and a 2 seed and a 5 or a 6 seed, especially the 1 seed. That week off. Imagine Detroit getting a week off with their injuries. Oh, man, that's gold.
Yeah.
Absolute gold. So it's looking like that's going to be difficult to get. Minnesota, I don't think anyone really trusts them.
No, I think there's people still trying to fade them.
I think even if they got to the Super Bowl, there'd be people saying they're not the real deal.
No.
Darnold's not real. It's one of those things where until they fail, everyone's going to be expecting them to fail. And when they do, everyone will be, I always knew it. And it's always a bit of an unfair situation because there's only one team that can win the Super Bowl. So there's a large probability that eventually they will come short. And everyone will be, But it's
Makes
unfair
sense.
because in a way they've already exceeded expectations. They are a legitimate team. You can say they got lucky or whatever. But at the end of the day, they're 11-2, right? Or 12-2?
Yeah, they're just 1 game behind.
It's incredible what they've done. The coach is having an excellent year. For Darnold to come in and do what he's done, I remember all the talk at the start of the year when McCarthy went down. It's like, oh, Minnesota had all the pieces, they had the wide receiver, the weapons, the coach, everything was looking good, and of course their QB goes down. And here they are fighting for the 1 seed still. So it's incredible. So credit to Minnesota. And if they do lose in the divisional round or even the wild card round, I hope people don't just throw it off and don't give them any props and say, oh, I always knew they weren't the real deal. Because at the end of the day, perception aside, they are the real deal. They're here.
Defensively, definitely. They're probably one of the top defenses.
Their whole coaching across the board.
Top two. I would give Philly the edge on them.
Yeah, the only thing is they have had some games where they haven't been dominant. I guess every defense is the same. I don't know. I still want to put the Chiefs, I think, defense ahead of them.
Okay.
Just because I've seen them do it in the big games.
Yeah, that's fair.
More experienced defensive players. I agree with you. I think Philly right now is number one. But for me, I think defense really is form-based. Like, Philly has had a good defense for the entirety of their win streak. But I still think that defenses can have form slumps. Like, the Chiefs have probably been in a defensive form slump over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Like, it's energy, motivation. Like, defense is a lot of talent and skill, but I would say majority of defense, no matter what sport it is attitude and your desire to do a good defense. How much you buy in. You hear it in NRL all the time. It's about not doing it for yourself, but doing it for your mate. Yeah. When you're tired, you can't get there, you get there anyways. It's like those sorts of 1%ers that make a good defense. And that comes down to coaching, comes down to leadership. And the teams that have that, it typically personifies the organization as a whole. And that's why I think having a good defense isn't just having the defense on the field. It's what it means. The offense has to verse them in practice. It feeds into the coaching staff. It feeds into the whole aura of the organization when your defense is on song. Because having a good defense, as we said, is about mentality. And if you can spread that mentality across the whole organization, well, you're in a great spot.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Should we get into the picks?
Let's do it. Start us off, bro.
Can you? I'm going to need you to run through them. Sorry, bro.
Jeez, what are you doing?
I rely on you too much with these BS picks. I really do.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
So your first one was Browns +4, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Chiefs. Yeah. I don't regret this one. Obviously a loss. I don't regret it. I've been fading the Chiefs all year at anything above 3, and this is the first time it's failed me. The Browns is who I'm more disappointed in. Since Winston's come in, I've bet on the Browns a few weeks, expecting that Winston's a roller coaster, which means he's going to have some good weeks and have some bad weeks. It seems like he's only been able to have one good week and the rest have been bad weeks.
Yeah.
His intercepts on the Chiefs game it's just killer. In the red zone too. Just the Chiefs were there again, especially with Mahomes getting injured. The Chiefs were there to not be beaten, but to have a close game.
Yeah. Winston
just had to be a functional QB, and he wasn't that, right? He was at his worst, and that's the risk you run when you bet on Winston. And I don't regret it. I think the Chiefs finally got a bigger win, but that wasn't because the Chiefs played excellent. They obviously started off the game well, but I think that was just more the Browns' offense, and Jameis Winston more specifically was typical Jameis Winston.
Yeah. And then Ravens minus... Would we have it at
minus
15
$1 million?
and a half,
yeah.
I think?
Look, this one was never really in doubt. Ravens off a loss. I know there was a lot of points, but again, they ended up winning by 20, didn't they? Plus 20?
Won by 21.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So even the 17, where a lot of pros, I think, came in at 17 and a half because they thought that 17 is a pretty key number. Wouldn't have mattered.
Your first half got up as well?
Yeah, first half got up.
They were up by 2 touchdowns by halftime.
Yeah, that was an easy one. The Giants, they just didn't have enough offense. The Ravens had a chip on their shoulder. There was always a worry that they would let the foot off the gas late, but to no avail, and that was a good pick.
Yeah. What was the other one? Oh, so Lions minus
Lions. I already sort of spoke about this. I'll keep this one nice and short. Just typical Josh Allen. You bet against Josh Allen, you run the risk that he is going to be the Superman, where he's playing in a team that's doesn't have many superstars across anywhere, defense, offense. It's just him. Like, he's the definition of a one-man show, and usually that doesn't work in big games against good teams.
Yeah.
But he is just so good and so dominant and so calm. He has all the attributes right now. He's playing within himself. Like, he's not throwing picks. He's not trying to do too much. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. When they need to he gets it. When you can tell his energy is he has the right sort of temperament about him right now. He's just in the best form of his career, and I don't think it's a coincidence that he shredded the diva wide receiver in Diggs, and now he's just being able to play a lot calmer, play what's in front of him. He's not worried about who's getting the ball. He's just playing free football, and it's working. The Lions, as we said, too many injuries on defense. The coach doesn't trust the defense. The offense played great. They still have an excellent offense, which means they're going to be battling and difficult to beat in any game, especially their defense can get it right. But Josh Allen just did it, and I said credit to him for being able to go on the road twice in 2 weeks and score that many points. I mean, incredible.
Yeah.
Quick side note, though, the Bills as well, their defense is a problem. That's 2 weeks. We're applauding the offense, but the flip side is they lost one of those games, and they just won the second one.
Yeah.
They scored around 80, 90 points in those 2 weeks.
Yeah, was that 60-plus points on defense they've allowed in the past 2
way
games?
too many. It's exactly what we're saying about Detroit, about it's difficult to win with a bad defense. You can say the exact same thing about Buffalo.
Yeah.
I trust Buffalo's defense a little bit more because I like the head coach is a defensive guy. They have a bit more of a history of defense, but it's definitely a concern for Bills that if you verse the Chiefs, if their defense is clearly better than the Bills, you're going to need Allen to play that level nearly every week, and that's a big ask in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a concern.
It's not 60, it's 90.
90
points in the past 2 games.
I mean, I think if you went through the history books, you'd be very hard pressed to find a team who won the Super Bowl that's conceded that many points in a 2-stretch game, especially only 3 weeks out from the playoffs.
Yeah. And then you had Eagles minus 5.5, I believe, against Steelers.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. Yeah, I was on the opposite side of it. I found out after I made this pick that a lot of people like Pittsburgh. I mean, it's clear, obviously, Tomlin is a dog spot, but even a lot of the professionals liked it. I thought this would be a lot of the Joes, a lot of the public going and just betting it because they just know the stat.
Yeah.
But I was surprised that not many people are on Pittsburgh here. I just thought they would bounce back. The running game didn't even get going that well. Barkley had his worst game in a while, but the passing game picked up, and all that stuff about A.J. Brown throughout the week, it came to a positive, right? Because he had a great week. Devontae Smith played well. Hurts probably had his best game of the year. Defense played well. Pittsburgh just didn't have the juice without Pickens as the wide receiver. Wilson looked a bit lost without his deep threat.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, I think TJ Watt went down. Don't know how he is. Is he okay?
I think he's still 50-50 on whether he plays.
It's concerned, but at least that means he's going to be good later. And if he's 50-50 now, that means come playoff time he'll be okay. But yeah, that was the Eagles, I think, flexing their muscle a little bit there and showing that Pittsburgh aren't they're the real deal, but I think they're a tier below the Eagles as a challenger. And I think the Eagles are probably, with the Lions floundering around it a little bit, I think Eagles are definitely, by far and wide, the favourites in the NFC now.
Yeah. And then the last one, Packers minus 2.5, I think it was. Yeah. Now,
this one, again, I owe to you. I was tossing up between this one and the Miami one, which would have lost.
You off the Miami one.
You talked me off the Miami one because you were on Houston and you gave me all those incredible stats, and you saved me from a losing week to a winning week. So I appreciate that. Who are they versus again? I'm having a blank. The Packers. It was on the primetime game.
Seahawks.
I literally watched it. Seahawks.
Geno went down.
Yeah, Geno went down. Packers came out with a very good start. It got up like 14-3 or something like that.
Yeah.
Their offense stalled a little in the third quarter and late in the second, but they just got a lot far enough in front. Then they were able to run the ball with Jacobs. Is it Jacobs? Or was he the one that left? I get the mixed up. It's Josh Jacobs, because he went from the Raiders, and the Packers guy went to the... Who the Packers guy?
Oh, you're talking about Aaron Jones went to the Vikings?
Vikings, that's right, yeah. Jacobs just had a great game on the ground. He's anytime touch. I think he scored in the last 6 straight games or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, he's on a good streak.
Wow.
Matt LaFleur, one of the best coaches in the league. Seahawks, still a good team. Actually, you didn't watch that game and go, wow, the Seahawks aren't legit. They are legit. I think the Packers are just a little bit better right now. And once Geno went down, it was kind of game over. I forgot his name, but the QB that came in, the Washington QB from last year, just looked so outclassed. He was getting hit, chased around everywhere, throwing picks. He threw the most picks in the league last year for Washington. So it's difficult to come in a situation like that against a Packers team that's red hot. So yeah, overall, 3-2 week. I'm pretty happy with it.
Respectable.
With that, I think feel a little lucky that you talked me out of the Miami one. So that was good. The Chiefs one that I lost, so be it. I don't regret that one. And the other one I lost, which was the...
Oh, which one was it?
Oh, God, my memory is literally just...
Browns and... What was the third one? Lions.
Apologies.
Lions. Losing.
And the Lions. Again, I can't really regret that one. I think I was my reasoning in that was right. I just, again, underestimated the Josh Allen, and I'm going to make a commitment to this. I'm not going to do that.
Never bet on
for the
him
rest
again.
of the regular season. I will not bet against Josh Allen. Come playoff time, different story. But for the regular season, I am staying well away from betting against the Bills.
Hey, I've got my own rules as well.
Yeah, you got to set yourself some ground rules sometimes, right? Like
sure.
it's just you got to do it
for sure. But in one of my picks, I didn't follow my ground rules. And so you're now 20 and 15.
What's that? 57%? You said
57.
Respectable. Happy with that. 100%.
So me, week 15, started off great with the Texans and Dolphins. We already touched on it. You went off Miami. It was really Tua. He threw like 3 interceptions. And they also held Tyreek to like 3 catches and less than 50 yards.
Yeah,
so like they just they contained the Miami offense. And then, it just showed Miami's having issues on offense, trying to get create plays and, score points. And Houston, they've had their own struggles offensively, and they were able to hold out, cover the points, and I get the win there. So that was a good one. Ravens, I was on the same with you, minus 15.5 against the Giants. That was just a Lamar Jackson game, just took over. Done that pretty easy. Buccaneers, I had Buccaneers plus 2.5 against Chargers. Yeah, it was really good. Like Tampa ended up scoring 30 unanswered second half points against the Chargers, which I wasn't even expecting that much of it was a blowout, to be honest, against a top scoring defense in the Chargers. But yeah, the Bucs offense, man, like they got 500 plus total yards against this sort of, as we said, top scoring defense in the Chargers. And the ground game was running for them as well. Yeah. They had like 220 plus yards on the run.
Seems like the Chargers run out a bit of juice.
Yeah, but hey, it's just Baker Mayfield and his December run. Like I think he's what 80% or 75%, I want to say, against the spread in his December games.
Wow. So, you have to say they're almost a lock the Bucs for win that division. With how the Falcons are playing.
Now they've got a new QB starting for them.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah.
After Kirk gets the win, they drop him.
They dropped him.
Yeah, look, I think
it's
going to take a bit of a collapse.
It wasn't a convincing win
against
the Raiders. Like, it just didn't look good. Bucs are looking really good for NFC South. And then I was with you again for Packers minus 2.5 against the Seahawks. We already touched on that one. Jordan Love had a good game there. Young talent Dobbs, he had 2 touchdowns for the day, so that was a good game. Gino went down. And my last one, which I suffered the one loss to go 4-1, was Bears plus 6.5.
Tried to warn you.
You did. Yeah, you did. I've got my rules. Don't bet on, bad quarterbacks. He, what's his name?
Caleb.
He's just hasn't performed.
He looks tired.
Yeah.
He even says
he got hit, winded, and he's was like just.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look.
Yeah, it wasn't looking good, and like watching that game, it just started off just disgusting. Like they went for the fourth down on like the first or second drive, I want to say, and they didn't get that. I don't think they converted a third down like within the first half, I want to say. Like didn't even feel like it. And Vikings got it off easy. They got Jefferson right into the game early. He got a touchdown early, and it just looked all downhill from there. It didn't look like I was able to even crawl back and make this 6.5 points.
It just looked dead, didn't it? It never looked like they were going to get back in that game.
Yeah, it wasn't looking good. And you did talk, like you said yourself, you're like, have they just like given up now? And I thought they might have had something left in the tank, but they just haven't.
I think they're just tired. I think Caleb's play style,
they're just trying to get by.
His body type, it's built for more of the college game.
Yeah.
It's shorter seasons, not getting hit as much, being able to move around. In the NFL, he was always going to struggle late in the season, just the amount of hits he's taking, how he's always moving with the ball, and just the longer season, I just don't think he's built for it yet. And he's going to have to get his body ready. Because imagine if they were like trying to have a playoff push. Like I just don't think he's ready for it yet.
No, 100%. So that's my week. I went 4-1. Takes me to 21-14, so 60% against the spread.
Very good. Very respectable.
Yeah, I'll take that. It's up there with the others.
With the good others, not with
the people that some people follow.
Yes.
So I'll take it. So yeah.
Shall I get into my this week?
Yeah, let's go straight into week 16.
All right. Well, on that
Find
note,
a 5-0 for us.
yeah, I didn't honestly know about the QB change, but kind of doesn't really change me too much. The Giants +8 against the Falcons.
Yep.
I think Falcons just haven't looked good recently. QB change seems a little desperate to do that off a win after Kirk. I know Kirk hasn't looked good, but to bring in a rookie QB in this stage, the Giants, look, it's pretty much shut up shop, but I still think they have some juice in the tank to keep this close, to just give the Falcons a game.
Yeah.
I can't see the Falcons just suddenly running away with this and blowing it. Maybe the only way I see it is if this QB comes out and he's just, wow, everyone's like, what the heck? Why have they been hiding this guy? He just has one of those games.
I think this would have to be the highest line for a rookie QB starting game, right?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
People just clearly don't believe in the Giants.
Yeah.
Maybe people are just, the books have pushed this line up because people just don't know what to expect from the rookie. So it's like, let's try and get some money on both sides here.
Yeah.
There's always a risk that this rookie could come in and the whole team just gets a bounce and he has just an excellent game. But it's rookie first game. You saw in week 1 this year, nearly every rookie QB had a poor start. It's just different gravy when you're starting in the NFL. Yeah. So I think take the 8 points is so much. It's just, yeah. Then I'm going Steelers +6 at Baltimore. Historically, this game has always been close. Ravens play the Steelers really poor. Lamar has a terrible record against the Steelers.
Yep.
Steelers, I know, the cliche, Tomlin is a dog, but in divisional game here, it's the stats speak for themselves. Steelers coming off a loss. This is essentially to win the division. This is really a playoff game right here.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens probably win this one, but the 6 points is just way too many, and I think it's just a historic spot here.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Texans +3 against Chiefs. Just basically going on my tried and tested. It failed me last week, but I think Mahomes, I said the Chiefs still have, my logic last week was the Chiefs have 3 games in 10 days. I thought that first game would be against the Browns would be a little of a letdown spot where they're thinking ahead a little bit. They don't really need it. That could now be this game. Texans are at 1 last week, but are still trying to prove themselves. They haven't played that great this year. The Chiefs are going to be worried about Mahomes and his ankle. Even if he is playing, I don't think he's going to be 100%. There's a chance as well he might not even play. Like, I don't know how, if they've like officially confirmed it. I'm just, why would you risk him? You've essentially only need to win 1 game to lock up the number 1 seed?
They just need 1 game.
Why would you risk him this week? Why would you not wait for the week after till Christmas, unless they're going to rest him on the Christmas Day game?
And then play the last week?
Yeah, but that just seems a little strange. I feel like this would be the perfect week to rest him against a playoff Houston team, get ready for the Christmas game. It just seems logical. But hey, if they play him, I still like the Texans +3 here. I think the Chiefs aren't as good as their record suggests. I think it'll be a close game, and if I get beat again, maybe I'll have to rethink my thinking. But as of now, I'm not going to let 1 game shake me.
Yep.
The next, sort of following from your loss last week, Detroit -6 against the Bears. I can't believe this is -6. I don't know if people have dropped that far from the Lions because they lost.
It's just, it's I guess it's the loss, but it's also the injuries, like defensively, but also Montgomery's out for the season now.
Yeah, but Gibbs is...
Yeah, that's why they've got a 1-2 punch. Like, they've still got Gibbs there.
I think they're just way undervaluing the line. I think they've dropped way too hard on this. I guess I get it's a divisional game and they're away.
And they played close last matchup.
You've got to think the Lions coming off a loss with a Dan Campbell-led team, which is all emotion, they're going to be up for this game. They're going to be ready.
Yeah.
And the Bears, I said Caleb was tired last week. How about this week when he's an extra week? He clearly got smashed last week. He would have been sore. He's coming in this week against a desperate Lions team that is still playing, as we said, at the start of this app. They could get from the 1 seed down to the 6 seed, essentially. They need this game. They're going to be coming out hot. I can see the Lions getting off to a big lead early and the Bears just looking defeated and looking demoralised. Caleb, similar to what we saw the Bears-Vikings game last week, where as hard as the Bears try, they just don't have the juice in the tank to overcome these deficits anymore. So, I feel like I'm getting a lot of free points of value there.
Yep.
And this last one, which you might think I'm breaking a rule. Maybe I am. Maybe I'll come back here on Monday and go, what the hell am I doing? But Jets +3 at the Rams. No, at home against the Rams. Jets have played better the last few weeks. Rodgers has played his best few games. It's typical that they start playing their best football when the season's essentially over. I think the Rams are coming off 2 back-to-back wins that are big wins against the Bills in a high-scoring game, and then against the Niners in that divisional game, which was essentially a must-have game for them in the rain. I feel that the Rams are due a letdown. It's a West Coast team traveling all the way to the East Coast. I do like that. I see this as a little bit of a letdown spot for the Rams. I could still see them winning this game, but I think you take the 3 points for the Jets, who have looked good. Rodgers playing well, playing with confidence, nothing to lose, essentially. There's no pressure on them. The Rams have pressure. And historically, the Rams are this sort of team where they play great one week, and then the next week, the offense just cannot move. I see this as being a game that's 2023, 2017, where both offenses have their moments but don't look dominant.
Yeah.
Defense, I feel like it's going to be a defense-heavy game, and I just think you take the 3 points here. Again, I could come back to bite me, but
I was looking at this game and I was like, it's a kitchen sink game for Rams, obviously, to try and for a playoff push. And I was like, with these Jets, maybe they want to start looking at, where they're going to be in the draft. But I think Rodgers is the kind of guy to be like,
to prove.
F you, I'm going to try and get a win here. And
100%.
he's not going to care about draft position or anything like that.
Yeah, those players have a chip on their shoulder. You know, the defense hasn't played as well as they wanted to. They're probably a new coach coming in next year who they want to prove themselves to. And at the end of the day, it's the Jets, right? There's going to be media attention on them. I think this is going to be a close game. So my 5, Giants +8, Steelers +6, Texans +3, Detroit -6, and Jets +3. So 4 dogs, 1 favorite. Honestly, pretty confident. Bit worried about the Giants pick just because there's a bit of that unknown with the rookie QB. Yeah. This could come back and the Giants could just be dead. They score 7 points and the Falcons are like, wow, now we've got a fresh breath of life. We have a QB that can move. We're not stuck in the pocket. We're free. That could totally happen. I could get burnt here. But I just think you're sort of playing the history of QBs in their first game rather than sort of the wishful thinking or the what ifs, just be grounded in reality and just understand that more than likely a rookie QB is going to struggle in this first game.
Yeah.
Getting 8 points, as you said, when was the last time a rookie QB had 8 points? It just seems like too much. So that's the only one I'm worried about. Texans, of course, when to be betting against the Chiefs is a little concerned, but I spend my reasoning there. So pretty confident. Feeling 4 in 1 week.
4 and 1.
I think one of those two is going to burn me, but whatever it is, no regrets.
I'll take that.
If the Jets burn me though, big regrets.
Alrighty.
Here he is, the prognosticator.
Week 16. It was tough.
Are we getting as many stats this week as we did last week? I mean, man, last week you deserved that 5-0 last week for all the research you put in.
A lot of these picks actually are purely on playoff contention, who needs to show up, who doesn't need to show up.
Okay.
Like, that's what I did this week because I feel like it's coming to that point in the season where, like, we don't like to talk about it, but teams do not perform, try and get losses to get better draft position. It's just a thing. Some people don't want to say that thing, but come on.
I'd be curious, though, how many teams actually do.
Yeah.
Because there's probably a few false positives where you think teams are doing that. But in reality, 1, they're just bad because they've been losing all year. Yeah. And 2, when you know you have nothing to play for, when things start going bad in a game, it's just easy. They're not like trying to lose, but it's hard to get the motivation late in the second half when you know you've already lost. Like, I wonder how much of it's a conscious choice before the game by the management ownership saying, okay, let's just shut up shop.
I would say it's more management. Like, I'm not saying the players are going out there going, okay, let's lose. And
how would the management do that then?
I don't know.
I'm just curious.
Maybe it's just the vibe that they put out. Like, you might just have coaches or management coming out and making comments that just unease the players, and the players just, they either give up or sometimes they might just turn cheek and go, let's try and win this game or something like that.
I'd honestly it'd be intriguing sort of to be a fly on the wall of these teams that are fighting for that number 1 pick. Just know if they genuinely are thinking about this, or if it's just the players and the coaches have too much to lose, where they want to prove themselves for their contract this year, next year. You don't get many opportunities to prove yourself, so you just go out and just try your best. Yeah. Obviously, the ownership and the GM would prefer the loss, but at the end of the day, the players and the coach are the ones who are out there actually playing. And are they going to say, hey guys, just lose this game for us? It's like, as we said, they put their bodies on the line. There's no guarantee they're just going to want to lay down and just get ran over. So, yeah, honestly, it's an interesting debate.
That's fair. So, week 16 picks. My first one was kind of a lock for me. Steelers +6.5.
Yeah, I feel like you got to put this one in.
Against the Ravens. I'm very big on the Tomlin dog sort of trend. I've been on it a few times.
Jumped off well
last week. But you made some great points about these Eagles. I think not a get right, obviously, but a letdown spot for Pittsburgh that game. Coming up against the Ravens, obviously it's 50-50 on the TJ Watt injury. It's 50-50 on the George Pickens on whether he comes back.
Like, if they don't play, that's big.
That line, the 6.5, that's leaning more towards that they're not playing. So taking this plus 6.5, you're kind of just hoping, they get in when it comes down to
I'd be a little surprised. I reckon
Monday
Pickens
morning.
will play. I don't reckon TJ will play.
That concerns me even
It
more. I
is
feel
with
like I would want TJ rather
I
than
would
Pickens.
100% prefer TJ, but
Yeah.
that really worries me that the way he went down last week,
Yeah.
that ankle, if he does play, I don't think he'll have the explosiveness and the sort of, as a defensive end, the way he plays, it's all about mobility, quickness, being able to put a lot of pressure on that ankle and sort of pivoting.
Yeah.
If you have a weak ankle, it's not like a QB that just sits in the pocket. Like, that's a position like where you need everything firing on your legs. And if he's obviously, even him at 70-80% is still effective, but against the Ravens in this game, where the Ravens are going to be on it, they're going to need a TJ close to 100%. And even if he plays, he won't be. So that 100% a concern in this spot.
Yeah. Like, for some reason, Steelers, like, Lamar against the Steelers, he's just...
It's awful, eh?
Where he just gets got. And I'm, like, I know for sure. It's because of TJ Watt. Like, he just gets after him.
And Tomlin, I think a bit of Tomlin too. He just knows how to play Lamar, and he obviously has a good scheme, and Lamar hasn't been able to figure it out yet. Yeah.
So they play close, like historically, and we saw Steelers get up. I don't think Steelers go 2-0 against the Ravens this season. I feel like Ravens win here, but
yeah, the 6 points.
Take the 6.5.
Yeah, you're just taking this one on history, really, on trends. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
So the injuries definitely throw a spanner in. You just got to hold your nose and trust the trends.
Yep. My second one here, the Bengals minus 7.5 against Cleveland. We spoke about Jameson. He's always in for a game.
I'm not betting on him, so this is probably his week where he throws 6 TDs.
I probably would have hoped that you took the Browns.
Honestly, that would have been your best bet.
But Cincinnati, they're not out. Like, they've got a chance here, and Burrow and Jamar Chase, they're the top QB and the top wide receiver performances stat wise, like this season. Like, they're having the greatest offensive season, but it's just their defense.
But yeah, here we are talking about them being not officially eliminated, right? Yeah. Which means they're not doing too well.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like, this is, I think I saw a stat that this season is on par with Drew Brees' 2012 season when we went like 6-8 at the same, like, we're on the same points. Right. That's when Sean Payton had that 1 year off suspension. So
you're not worried this could be just an absolute shootout?
That's my problem.
Like the Cowboys style
it could be a shootout. Otherwise, I feel like Browns probably need to get at least 21 points here.
Oh, minimum. I reckon they need to get 28.
Yeah?
I reckon
See, I don't see them getting that much. I don't see them getting that much.
If Winston plays his best, they can.
For sure. So I want to fade Winston. Keeps throwing interceptions.
He sure does.
I mean, he's been praying for the pick sixes. I think he should be praying for pick sixes and interceptions. But maybe he just can't get both. So I'm going to go with Burrow. I'm going to go with Jamar. I'm going to back them to get 40 plus.
Right. Look, I'm just going to say I'm a little nervous about this one.
Yeah,
Let the record show I'm a little nervous about this one, I think.
That's fair. Fair. I'm nervous about all of them.
I think the Bengals this year have suckered so many people into thinking that because their offense is good, but every week you see that Burrow sits on the sideline and watches that defense concede points after points after points.
I guess it's just they're in a spot. Don't give them a sniff because they can get it.
Hey, who am I to doubt you, Mr. 60%? Who am I to doubt you? Maybe you do your thing.
I mean, we're only one pick from each other.
This could be the pick that puts us even.
It could. This one won't. Is Lions minus 6.5 against
I'm with you.
The Chicago Bears. Fool me once, shame
the
on
Bears
me.
burnt you last week. You just had to watch the Bears last week.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
You just had to watch the Bears last week and it just made you want to bet against them, mate.
100%. So I saw the Lions getting less than a touchdown and I jumped on it.
Yeah.
We already spoke about it. Like, we're very eye and eye on this one. My fourth one.
Sorry, just quickly. It does concern me, though, that the line's a little fishy.
It is.
6.5 is a fishy line.
For sure.
Like, maybe the books are everyone's just undervaluing the Lions because that lost the injuries. It was a primetime game. Everyone's like, oh my God, the Lions suck now.
They're talking about the last matchup as well, how Chicago played Detroit.
But did people watch the Bears last week? Like, we're talking about a team that their QB got 500 yards, scored 40 plus points against a Bears team that looked dead in the water, and it's less than a touchdown. It just looks fishy.
Now that I'm thinking of it, it's at Chicago. What's the weather like at this time?
Oh yeah,
golf playing outside.
Yeah, the bogey, you know right? I mean? Yeah, maybe that's what they think, and the Lions' offense just will be stalled a little bit.
Yeah.
And look, the biggest thing for me though is the Lions coming off a loss. Dan Campbell, they'll have him up for this game.
Yeah. better offensively, better defensively, better coaching.
Yeah. And the Bears had a primetime game last week, and they still couldn't muster anything. So, yeah.
My fourth one, the Buccaneers.
You love the Bucs. You love the Bucs.
I am riding these guys until they stop. Until I just have to get off. Like, they just died of dehydration. Because, like I said, Baker in December, he's a different beast. And they're coming up against Dallas.
Who looked good last week.
They looked good.
Cooper Rush had probably his best game as a starter last week.
Yeah. But, I mean, they just showed their hand offensively against those Chargers. We already spoke about it. But so I really love the Buccaneers in this sport. I reckon they can put up 40-plus again. Dallas will need to put up 30, 35-plus to keep this close.
I think the only way... I like the pick. I think the only way Dallas cover this is if it's a low-scoring game. If Micah and the Cowboys defense can stop Baker early and not let him just get hot. Because if Baker gets hot and goes down and scores 2 touchdowns his first 2 drives, I can't see Cooper Rush keeping up. He had a great game last week, but this is different.
Yeah.
And I definitely think you're on the right side. The only thing that scared me off this pick was Cowboys at home, coming for a win, be a little more confident. Micah had his best game in ages. Cooper Rush coming off his best game in ages. Maybe a bit more confidence. I think they can probably score 24, 27 points.
Yeah.
So I think Baker just would need to score 30 plus to sort of save the cover here. But yeah, it's just if the Cowboys defense plays well, it could be a close game. But I think I think the Bucs is the right side here.
And this fifth one was a struggle, and I'm still struggling with it at this point in time.
Oh, you don't want to spit it out?
No.
What's it going to be? I wonder.
I'm going to do it. Lions are going to win, which means Vikings are going to need to win. So I'm going Vikings minus 2.5 over the Seahawks.
I don't hate it.
Yeah. Geno, knee issues. I think he's meant to be playing from what we've heard so far. Obviously, we're still 4 days out from when they play, but I kind of just want to... but it's such a kitchen sink game for the Seahawks. They need to...
You're talking yourself out of it.
No. I'm sticking with it. Because otherwise I'm just going to be annoyed with
let me
myself.
try and talk you into it.
Okay.
The Vikings defense against a Geno that's hurt, that's not going to be able to move. They're going to have blitz. You saw Geno last week. He was getting hit, sacked, throwing picks under pressure. The Vikings are going to be after him. Even if he's 50%, like the best case scenario, he plays and he's 50, 60, 70%, in which case he's not going to be able to move that well. He's going to be getting pressured by that Vikings defense. He may not even play. You might be getting 3 points of value here because if he drops out, that line's going to skyrocket. So I honestly, I like it. The only concern here is if the Vikings have a bit of a letdown spot offensively and the Seahawks defense plays well, because the Vikings are prone to those bad games.
Yeah, and it was the one outlier last week against Green Bay. Like, they just outclassed them.
They just big lead early.
Like, their defense is still pretty good, Seahawks.
Great, yeah. Well, they were on a 5-game win streak.
I'm trying to talk myself out of it. I'm not talking myself out of it. I'm sticking with Vikings minus 2.5 over the Seahawks. So, they're my 5. I'm locking it in.
Lock it in, Eddie.
Locking it in. So, Steelers plus 6.5 against the Ravens. Bengals minus 7.5 against the Browns. Lions minus 6.5 against the Bears. The Bucs minus 3.5 against the Cowboys. And then Vikings minus 2.5 against the Seahawks. Probably 3-2.
I'm feeling 3-2 too.
Yeah.
I just got that vibe. I'm feeling like we're going to be even after.
I'll take a 4-1 here.
Yeah.
I would take a 4-1.
I think anyone will take a 4-1. I think, yeah, if that Vikings pick comes up, I'm still worried about your Bengals, but I said I could be completely off on that one. But yeah, let's see. Hopefully the Steelers cover for us. Otherwise, we're both in the mud there.
Yeah.
Do you have any others to say?
So
Lions. We need the Lions and the Steelers.
We need Lions. We're Steelers together. They're the only two. Yeah. And we're not on any opposing.
It's always a good.
Yeah. So there we go. That's BS picks for week 16. Possibly we might get to both over 60%.
That'd be good.
After this week.
Hey, if we can push to 65, that's now we're getting into professional territory there.
That'll be pretty good.
We might just change the podcast to just a professional betting show.
Is there anything else NFL you want to touch on? Do you want to touch on the Thursday game? Well, Friday game for us tomorrow.
Let's just move it on. Let's just keep it rolling. Spend enough time on the old egg ball.
Sweet. I mean, let's stay in America. NBA Cup.
Yeah, look, I'll let you take on this one. I didn't really watch too much of the game. I was out, I got to admit. Thunder are my team. in hindsight, if they had won, it would have been poor, but they got smoked. For me, from not watching it, just looking at the highlights and the stats, Thunder in a big game just looked a bit gun-shy, couldn't hit a shot, a little nervous. I said to you before the other night, that's a bit concerning, being a young team, having such a bad game in a big final playoffy sort of style game where that could come back to haunt them if they're in the playoffs later, the game 7 conference final. In the back of your mind, oh no, we are susceptible to an off night where we just can't shoot. So that's a little concerning, sort of big picture. Obviously, the NBA Cup doesn't really matter, right? It would have been nice to win, to prove to yourself that you can win these games. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. It's more of a mental thing. Just hope that this doesn't come back to bite them later, being a young team. And yeah, that's sort of my biggest takeaway from it.
Yeah. I mean, Thunder-wise, I'm still pretty confident in their abilities, like the way that they've played. Like, it was just this is the first time they didn't score above 99 points. And like, you're not going to win NBA games.
What's the denominator though?
Yeah,
the big game.
Yeah, but you're not going to. You're not going to win your games when you're shooting 15%, especially in this sort of day and age of the NBA, where you got teams that are shooting 50, 55%, like beyond the arc. It's just where the game's moving towards these days. There's been talks this week about where the NBA needs to go. Like, probably don't need to touch on that. It's just a whole other subject, but. At least Bucks, like I had Bucks in my Eastern Conference pick. It didn't look good from the start. They had a rocky start, and like from that NBA Cup game, like NBA Cup doesn't matter, but still it's high pressure, like playoff style sort of basketball, and I feel like they'll get heaps of confidence out of this game. Giannis just took over, triple-double.
He showed that in the big games, his style of play is effective. Yeah. That takeover, physical, get down to the post. He doesn't shoot threes anymore.
Yeah.
Just score inside, a physical rebound. That style of play is what wins you the big game 7s, the big finals games.
Yeah.
And that's probably, as you said, the biggest positive for the Bucks is to know if they can get there in the playoffs, be healthy, have Giannis playing as being just healthy and ready come playoff time, that they're going to be a tough out for anyone, because if he's ready and firing come any game 6, game 7, you won't want to be versing Giannis.
Especially when he's being so versatile, like across points, rebounds and assists. Like
doing everything.
I thought he might have just taken on the ball, try and get 40 plus and try and just carry him. But he was dishing them out. He had help from Dame. Dame had 20 plus, I believe. So still getting some good contributions out of the rest of the team. They didn't have Chris Middleton. Like, he got ruled out late because of illness. He didn't play, and they still... it was just Thunder in their shooting, but going 15%. But, at least having a defensive game that way gives a lot of confidence. And so, yeah, Doc Rivers, he'll be happy with that. For sure. Definitely going forward. So
I know we say it doesn't mean anything, but for the team that wins, it means something.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It shows that they can do it. You want to.
I love this. It's not in season tournament, but NBA Cup. I love
that's
this
something.
sort of.
That's something. I mean,
100%.
we wouldn't be talking about this otherwise, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they didn't have it, think of how we're saying how bad the NBA is going right now this season. Think of how much worse it would be if it wasn't for the NBA Cup. So you got to give them credit for adding it in,
for sure.
But again, it's sort of bigger picture wise. Now this is sort of where the NBA can go into a bit of a lull, sort of pre-All-Star game, sort of like this is the time where it's Christmas, people are doing other things, the NFL ramps up, you have college football playoffs, you have a lot going on that the NBA is just going to slip under the radar. You have the NBA Christmas Day, which is kind of good, but the
NFL's
games,
got Christmas Day.
They've literally taken over their main product. So yeah, the NBA is going to slip under the radar a little bit now, I think, until the All-Star game. Obviously that's a new format, we won't touch on that too much, but that'll create some headlines, because even if it sucks, people are going to want to talk about it and see if it's bad. So that'll generate some publicity. But yeah, I think the NBA will be not talked about as much unless anything crazy happens for the next few weeks. But the NBA Cup is definitely a good addition. Yeah, for sure. You want to talk some cricket? Yeah. Well, quick is it raining?
Good one.
Man, it's just what a disappointment.
Yeah.
I was saying before, I would prefer if it rained the whole game and just like, we're not playing, rather than we're off, we're off. Because the problem with Test cricket is it takes so long for them to come back on. Like, so the rain stops in any logic, all right, let's get on, let's quickly play. They got to go through the process, take the covers off. The umpires have to stand out there in the middle and look around for a little bit, check their weather app. Like it's just it needs
the
to
light, like everything.
it needs to be quicker. And then, as you said, the light. When it gets to later in the play, you've been rained out all day. You've only played like an hour, and they decide to call it off an hour early because there's not enough light. Turn the bloody lights on, right? I understand the rules and the cricket. It's supposed to be a day game, right? So it has to be daylight. But we're in a world of competitive where sports are competing against each other for attention. You have to just be able to play. Turn the lights on, play till the regular time at 6 o'clock, and let's deal with it. Like Test cricket. I love Test cricket, but it will not survive unless it keeps up with the times and learns to adjust. It can't be playing with the same outdated rules from 1910. You've got to update it. You've got to get people on board by just having common sense, logical rules. It really annoyed me watching that sort of stuff when they're calling it off early after everyone's been sitting around waiting all day. Is it on? Is it not playing? Are we playing? It was a painful watch. I feel sorry for the players, all the fans who bought tickets, who went out, people who were just sitting on the couch hoping to get a good day's worth of cricket, and you get excited for 20 minutes and then it's off. So yeah, it was a tough.
It was a tough watch, and it really puts us in a pretty tough position for us. Like we have to win these next two to take back the trophy. Like we can't split it, right?
Well, no, we just have to win one and then a draw. Obviously, we just
Oh, true.
You're right. But I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? If there's a win,
we can't have one each. Yeah. Look, and the way Sydney Test goes, the chance that'll be rained out too.
Yeah.
Look, we'll probably win in this game. It's a game we would have won.
Yeah.
We were the better team. India obviously had that good bowling performance in the second innings, but that was just weird. Like by that
we had
time,
to go out and we couldn't enforce the follow. And
by that
just
time, the mentality of the players was checked. Like imagine what it was like going. I think on day, I forgot what day it is, but the amount of times they went on and off. It plays with your mind. They would have been so over it by then. It's like, oh God, let's just get on with this. So India, you can't really got to take that innings with a bit of a grain of salt. Australia were the better team. The injury for Travis Head, big concern. If he doesn't play, man, that takes my confidence in the Australian team down significantly.
How about the injury?
Well, we don't know. It looks like you saw when he was batting in the second innings, couldn't really run between wickets. It looked like a hamstring, like a twinge.
Yeah.
If that's serious, then I saw a stat where Travis Head has scored one less run than the other top 5 batters combined.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. That is concerning to see. Remember, Steve Smith scored a century.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that just shows right now that so far this series, Travis Head has been everything for us batting-wise. The other thing, we spoke about it, Josh Hazlewood. We said we liked him being in the team if he was fit. It wasn't the side strain, apparently, that did it. It was the calf.
Yeah.
But how much was that just because he was underdone anyways? They should have picked Boland for this match. Hindsight, I get it. But with how well Belden played in the second match, they should have picked him. Hazlewood was fighting to get fit.
It makes him have to do it tough in that second innings to try and enforce that.
If Boland was playing, maybe he's able to... get a few extra wickets and they can enforce the follow-on and maybe they can get it would have been difficult to win anyways, but they should have picked Boland. I think, as we said when we were talking about should they pick Hazlewood, if those three are fit, they're going to pick them. And that's worked for them, but to this game, it was clearly to their detriment because they should have gone with Boland, and obviously he will now get to play at the MCG, which is
where he likes to play.
And I think I watched the highlights last night of the World Test Championship, and Boland played instead of Hazlewood in that game, and you realise that Boland was an integral part of that win. He got a lot of key wickets. He was bowling excellent. So he's really good against India. The way he bowls on the Australian pitches, and that was in England, but it's similar where he bowls outside that off stump, gets the bounce, sort of gets so many nicks off to the slips, and a lot of the Indian batters don't like it because they're used to the big drives through cover, because in India the pitch is a lot lower, so some of their main scoring shots are those big drives through the offside.
But now they're having to play a bit more of the
exactly, and Boland is perfect at baiting you into a drive and then getting the nick. So he's so good against Indian batters. So Hazlewood's very similar. They're similar style bowlers. My point is you're not missing anything when you put Boland in instead of Hazlewood, and I think he's going to get a few bag of wickets in Melbourne. Hopefully the rain stays away. It's clear, and I think Australia, if Travis Head is fit and playing, I think we are locked to be the favourites. The Indian batting lineup is shaky. Rohit Sharma is not playing very well. I still think he should step down as captain and Bumrah should be the captain. Let Rohit just focus on batting. He looks like he's too distracted. He's got too much. He doesn't look happy. For me, Rohit just looks like someone who's not enjoying his cricket. And I think you take away the captaincy, shrink his responsibilities, allow him to just simplify his game and focus on batting. I think that will go well. Kohli's not playing well. Jaiswal hasn't scored runs since he got that big century. What's the other opener, the Indian? Rahul, he's looked well. He's probably been India's best batter.
He had a big innings.
You could probably thank him for not enforcing the follow
for sure.
For basically saving India. If he gets out cheaply, if Steve Smith catches him, on that early, that's a completely different game. But he's looked the most comfortable out of all the Indian batters, and I would say that apart from Bumrah, Indian bowling lineup isn't looking that dangerous either. So if Travis Head's fit, I think Australia are the favourites. If he's out, that concerns things because
for sure,
the Australian batters haven't looked confident either. So it'll be an interesting match in Melbourne for sure.
So what would that would bring Inglis in?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of talk going around. There's that kid now from the Thunder. What's his name?
Oh, Costas.
Constas. He might put him in. A lot of talk that maybe they can replace him with McSweeney. I wouldn't be against that. I think McSweeney's had a few games now. He hasn't solidified himself. You wouldn't get rid of him and say you're never going to play again. But it would just be
such a tough ask.
It would, but the reason why you'd want to put Constas in now is because it's like a direct comparison. He would have to versus Bumrah. He would have to versus India. Maybe the pitches are a bit different, but if it's essentially as close as a duel as you can get. So if Constas comes out and scores an 80 or gets a century against this same bowling lineup, well, that's your closest comparison as you can possibly get to what McSweeney did.
Yeah.
So it's harsh on McSweeney. We said that at the start of the series that I thought it was crazy picking a debutant in a test match home series against India, where it's going to be very difficult for him to prove himself against the best bowler in the world. I would have much preferred them to pick a more seasoned player and let McSweeney come in a much easier opposition where you're not versing one of the best bowling lineups any of those players will verse.
Yeah.
You see Smith, Labuschagne, all the Marsh, Khawaja, he's having a shocking series. They're all struggling against his bowling lineup, let alone a rookie coming in. So I would put Constas in, but obviously his head's out. I think McSweeney will keep his spot. And Inglis, I heard someone talk about Bo Webster, who can bowl as well. We'd offer some overs.
Yeah.
I think because Mitch Marsh, his bowling hasn't
found a lot of...
No, he played well in the first innings with bowling, but he hasn't really been able to... I just don't think he's fit enough to bowl many overs. So I think Bo Webster's he's good with the bat, he's good with the ball, and they're interesting to see what they do because there's no replacing Travis Head. He's been our linchpin, our most important batter in all formats recently.
Yeah.
So if he's out, that changes everything. I think India in that dressing room, we're going, wow, that changes a lot.
Otherwise, if all goes good and Travis plays, I think we should win these next two, surely.
Yeah.
As long as weather stays off. But we've looked pretty good, both bat and ball, compared to how India's been performing.
And I think in Melbourne and Sydney, a lot of our players, that's where they play. We have a few players from Western Australia, but I think majority of the players are Sydney and Melbourne based. A lot of the players, like Cummins has a great record at MCG. Steve Smith has a great record batting at the SCG. Boland, obviously, the MCG. Our players have a lot of good records.
All the trends are falling into our favour.
So you would expect us. Typically, we do have a better win-loss record at the Gabba and Adelaide Oval. But I think in this series, I think we're well placed to definitely win one of these games and hopefully win them both. And I think the only way India win is if they can really regain their batting form. But I think with Boland coming in, Stark's playing excellent, Cummins is always consistent. I think it's going to be very difficult for the India batters. They're going to have to play like Jaiswal did and Rahul did in that second innings in Perth. They're going to have to play out of their skin and have a great opening partnership or opening first few wickets and put the pressure off their lower order. Because the Australian bowling lineup is firing, and I think, as we know, Boland at the MCG, he's going to be difficult to get away. He's going to be offered that third, fourth stump line and just peppering consistently, and I think he will get 3 or 4 nicks for sure.
Yeah.
Can't wait for it, though.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a good Boxing Day test.
Oh, the Boxing Day test is my favourite. I mean, the crowd is just mental. Oh, yeah. It's a sellout already.
What's the thing over there? Bay 13? Is that the Boxing Day thing?
They're going to be up Siraj. They're going to be going crazy over Siraj. Every wicket, I mean, that's cricket at its best, and that's why I think Test match cricket, I said about earlier, that little rant is, there is a lot of hunger for Test match cricket. People still love it, but they've just got to make a few tweaks. I'm not asking for big things. People are talking about shrinking it down to 4 days, these bigger changes. No, 5 days, keep it as it is, but just the on the margins, the little things you can do around the rules and regulations, sort of more the procedure that surrounds when you play, the lighting, the rain, these little things. If you change them, that'll make a massive impact to the way the game is portrayed to the public. You don't need to change too much. There's still a massive audience for it. I'm sure people are watching on TV. People still want to go. Like the Gabba day one was like sold out. Of course, it rained, and then the attendance for the last few days was awful. That's because people know that it's going to be raining on and off, so people just didn't want to go. I think if you can just either play indoors, obviously they're not going to want to do that because it's the weather is supposed to be a factor in these things. But there's got to be some things you can do to mitigate the bad elements of Test cricket. But keep it mostly the same, please.
All sports need to adapt.
They have to
every now and then.
The NBA needs to adapt.
Yeah.
The baseball has adapted. NFL has adapted.
We've already spoken on
NRL's
that sort of stuff.
adapted.
Like,
These sports that are adapting are doing well.
Yeah.
But again, it's a fine line. You need strong, intelligent leadership because if you adapt too much or you go too much the other way,
that's where you can lose it.
That's where you can go wrong, right? So you got to keep it in the. That's
Yeah.
what I think the NBA is doing with the All-Star game. They're going too much. Like they've lost sight of what's important.
Yeah.
So I think if you're going to make changes, especially to Test cricket, which has a long history, has a lot of legacy about it, you've got to be real careful. You got to not get too stuck in bureaucracy and procedure, but just be intelligent about it, be smart about it, and the rewards will pay off.
Yeah. I mean, pivoting to this next bit of news that we heard today, bit of intelligence came through the Red Bull camp.
Oh, finally. I mean, a year too late.
We've been pretty harsh on old Sergio Perez, and he's been given the boot.
I mean, it's just even more insane to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Why, like, you keep him all this time till you eventually lose the championship, and now you say, okay, bye, Perez.
Yeah.
It should have been, the data was there a year ago. It should have been done. They didn't do it. They kept him, and it cost them not just one place in the championship, but two places in the championship.
They finished third, and Perez came 8th in the drivers, and, you know, being at Red Bull, you expect at least, you know, top four.
When one of your other driver wins
5.
the drivers' championship,
Yeah.
I mean, coming 8th your second, you just can't.
Yeah.
It was Perez's performance in those last few races were so bad. I mean, maybe that was what tipped him over the edge, but
yeah, no, not even just races. Like his biggest, I think, issue was like qualifying.
Yeah, it's bad
like qualifying was terrible. He was averaging like 12th. I want to say.
The thing is, even last year or early this year, even if when he did qualify poorly, like 16th, 15th, he was still looking dominant in the races. Like the race was full of his overtakes.
Yeah.
Recently, when he finished
and he
16th, he has 1 or 2 overtakes early, and then you just don't hear of him. Yeah. He's like, oh wow, he finished 9th. Like, that's not good enough. If you're going to have a poor qualifying session, you need to be able to get at least to 7th or 6th. Once the Red Bull didn't have the most dominant car, his ability to just overtake the field and make it look easy was just gone. Right?
Yeah.
We saw with Max when they didn't have the best car, he was still able to get the most out of it, whereas Perez just became a middle of the pack kind of driver. I don't know if he lost his motivation. I don't know what's happening with him internally, but as for a Red Bull decision, I can't believe it took him this long, and they paid the price for it, essentially.
Yeah. It's like there's a bit of this curse on the second driver's seat, though, at Red Bull. Like, we haven't been able to see anyone really step up to it.
And now they're thinking of putting essentially a rookie in Liam Lawson is the rumour, right?
Yeah, Liam Lawson is the rumour, which is pretty bit of a hot take once you've...
he did look good for AlphaTauri. Oh, is it even AlphaTauri anymore? What do you even call it?
RB,
yeah. He did look, I mean, he looked good for those races. He's feisty. He clearly has a lot of confidence about him.
New Zealander, he's part of the Anzac sort of region for us.
He's got a lot of confidence. I mean, when you come from those smaller countries, you have to have something about you because you've had to fight through it. You know, go overseas and do a lot of travel.
Yeah.
So it's, as we said, the second driver of Red Bull does have a bit of a curse on that seat. He does seem like the kind of guy that can deal with the pressure, but it's a different beast when you actually get in the seat and you look next to you and you got Max there, 4-time in a row champion who doesn't give you an inch, who's going to be on it every race. And if you just have one track where you're not good or one race where you make a slip up, he's going to make it obvious how poor you've performed because he's going to be extracting the most out of that car 95% of the time. So it's a big challenge, and in a way there's only 20 drivers in F1. If I'm Lawson, is like, sweet, get me in there, let me do it, let me prove it. This is my chance. If I do well here, I'm set up. Like, if I can compete against Max Verstappen, again, every other driver, and he's had experienced drivers, you know, Ricciardo, Perez, Gasly, who's sort of Albon. Like, these guys have established themselves as sort of long-term drivers now. If he can go in there and give Max a challenge, he'll set himself up with a career for the next 6-7 years.
I just don't understand why Liam. Like, I'm on the Yuki train here.
Oh, you think? Yeah, I don't know. I think Liam's been more impressive than Yuki.
Has he even had a full season in a car?
No, he hasn't. He came in halfway through. He replaced Ricciardo.
Yeah.
But I think he was better in those few minutes. Remember, Yuki's been in for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
And I think Lawson, in those races he had in the half of the year, has outperformed Yuki in those last few races.
I think he's only outplaced him once out of like the 8.
In the actual race?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Red Bull have probably seen enough, like, enough sample from Yuki.
That's what I'm saying, because Yuki, he's been doing the testing for them, so obviously they're seeing Yuki in the car. But just from my eyes, I'm like, okay, so you had Perez, he's averaging like 12th. Yuki was actually on par with Perez in like qualifying this year, so you put him in a better car. Surely there's a bit of an upgrade there.
I understand what you're saying, but my personal opinion is what I've seen, like just my own view, is what I've seen from Yuki, is I don't think he would be up for it. Like, I don't think he has the temperament. I don't think he would be... I think he would get angry. I don't think he has the... I don't want to say ability, but I just don't think he has the raw talent that I think Lawson has. I genuinely think that Lawson has the potential to make that seat his own. I think if we put Yuki in there, I think it'll be a very similar situation to all the other drivers, where he might have a few good races early or whatnot, but I think eventually throughout that year, it'll get to him and his qualifying will drop off 6th, 7th, and it'll just start to snowball. I actually like the Lawson pick. I think he's fresh. I think he's got that confidence about him, which you need in that seat. Max is just going to be Max, and I think Yuki would be too subservient. I think he would feel himself to be the number 2. I think I don't think he would have that natural confidence to just go in there and say, yeah, this is my seat, I'm going to make it mine. Whereas I think Lawson would have that, and I think that is what you need. And you could see it in Perez, that as the races went by, that confidence got drained in him, and he sort of fell into the role of the second driver. And once I think mentally you see yourself as the second driver, you essentially are admitting to yourself that you are not the best. And I think there's only 20 F1 drivers. You need to truly believe in your bones that you are one of the best drivers on the track. As soon as you accept that I'm the number 2, it just must permeate through your whole body, that you are just in your whole psyche, that you are not one of the best. You are not at the forefront winning races. You are the number 2. And I think that plays a big role in these things, and why Max is just disbanding with teammates left, right, and center. Whereas I think Lawson, my own view and my speculation, but I think he will have the mindset and the mentality to go in there and not see it as 1v2, but see it as, I need to do my best. Yes, Max is one of the best, but I need to, this is not about him. If I drive my best, I can compete. And I think that's the mindset you have to have. And if the results follow with that, then that confidence will snowball, and then you can do it. So that's my view.
Yeah, maybe it'll work out for them. We'll probably hear something in like the next like week or two, surely, because it's going to come up to testing season pretty soon. But
either way, Yuki or Liam, it's a big toll for Red Bull. That's a rookie. Yeah. They need a bounce back year this year, coming third. You got Max in there. You don't know how good the cars are going to be. It's going to be an excellent year, as we've said in F1 this year. You feel with the way that last season ended, that come any race, any team can win, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be an excellent to watch. But in that, when every car is sort of good enough to win, you need both your drivers to be top tier, because if every car's the same, it's essentially going to come down to driver skill. So if you've got a rookie driver who takes a few races to get going, doesn't really have that confidence, that could put you on the back foot early. And as we saw with Red Bull, if you only have one driver scoring points, that hurts you in the championship.
I don't understand. He hasn't even had a full season in a car yet.
It's risky. I'm not denying it's risky, but I think both of them have carried their risk. If I was Red Bull, it's hard because most of the good drivers have been signed up, right?
Yeah.
But you could have gone for Sainz, someone a bit more tested.
Well, I think with that Sainz, he's got a clause in his contract with Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah. That if another team comes to him halfway through the season, he's allowed to leave.
Wow. Well, that might be what Red Bull are thinking. We'll go with the rookie Lawson for the first half, and if he goes well, then goes well. If not, we can go for Sainz.
So maybe they just want to see how Sainz goes.
But this is what happens with Red Bull for leaving the Perez situation for so long. I think any F1 observer, you don't have to be a coach, a manager, even a driver to understand that Perez was not the guy.
Yeah.
Okay? If any viewer can know that, surely Red Bull deep down had to know that too. So why did they take so long? All that meant that when they finally decided or came to the realization, came to their senses that Perez was not the guy, there's no one left to replace him with. So now they're forced to go with, as you said, a guy who's had half a season, or Yuki Tsunoda, who's had 2 years but not really set the house on fire, right? He hasn't been great. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been, oh my goodness, this is the next Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
So they're going to be stuck putting a driver in there to start that year that's essentially untested in one of the top cars. Whereas if they had made this decision early in the year, or at least halfway through the year, they would have had many more options to pick from. Maybe that's why Sainz took so long to officially sign with Williams. So they thought, okay, maybe Red Bull will finally realize that Perez isn't the guy, and I can go there. For some reason, they didn't. They stuck with him. They gave him every chance, and it backfired.
He had the feeling that they didn't want him, so he wanted to go to a team that wanted him, and when Williams wanted him, so he wants to go.
I just remember that it just took a while to announce it, because those rumours that he was going to Williams came out quite early, and it didn't get announced for months later. So I don't know if he was just holding, waiting, just seeing if any other offers were open. But clearly nothing did. And there wasn't really too many other drivers that were out. Most drivers nowadays get signed up pretty early. I mean, Lewis, that was done early in the year.
Yeah.
Russell signed up. Norris, Piastri. I don't know who else you would consider on any of the clerks signed up long term.
Yeah.
You know, even some of the... I love Hulkenberg. I'm a Hulkenberg. I mean, this year Hulkenberg has proved himself, I think, to be one of the best drivers on the grid.
Yeah.
I would love to see Hulkenberg in that Red Bull and have a chance to really prove himself. Like, he's always been in a car that's sort of mid-tier and sort of meddling. Yes, he can make a Q3, get maybe P8 in qualifying, but the car's not good enough to sort of challenge for a podium. I would love to see him in the Red Bull.
He would be an interesting character to pair with Verstappen.
Yeah, he's got that experience.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be overawed. He'd be a good teammate. He'd understand that Max is the guy, but he wouldn't sort of...
I think he'll be a good teammate, but he's still a very he's a feisty.
Yeah, he is. He's feisty
guy as well.
Yeah, he is. But
like
I think in his old age, he's a bit more centered. Like, I don't think he would let that feistiness carry over into his driving, but I think he would have the right amount of feistiness to not let Max overshadow him too much. I think he'd be the perfect fit. But that's it. I'm obviously biased because I like Hulkenberg, and I think what he's done this year in the Haas, he made Magnussen look like a C-tier level driver. Just the way he was able to get that car into Q3 so often in the race, get points.
No, he did so well to get Haas where they...
Yeah, I thought he did great. I mean, credit to Haas as well for putting up a much better car.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see someone like that in, but he was probably already signed up and there's nothing they could do.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty much
basically done.
Yeah. But we've got a good weekend. We've got Usyk versus Fury boxing.
Is that this week? Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
This weekend. We've got college football.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
What else we got?
Not too many big games. There's a few big games.
No,
it's
playoff season. You know what I mean?
But I'm talking about like the big guns, right?
Yeah.
There's a few good ones though.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think Ohio State's got a big game.
Ohio and Tennessee? No, not Tennessee.
It might be actually.
Maybe.
Do you like the format where the top four get a bye?
I mean, it's new to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I'm not very massive into the college, but you know, it seems like it. I hear 50-50 from both sides.
Yeah.
So
in a way, like obviously the positive is you get more games with this way, but the downside is you don't get as many. Like when it was just 4 teams, those 2 semis were massive. It was conference finals games.
Yeah.
So the gains were meant more compared to.
So now you're getting some early playoff ones that are not
so it's like instead now you get a few divisional games or wild card games instead of just conference final, Super Bowl. So look, we'll see how it goes. Either way, it's good. We get more to watch. We go from 3 extra weeks compared to the old system.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else we got?
I mean, that's all I got from the top of my head, to be honest.
Well, next week, obviously, we have
Christmas Sunday games for us for NFL.
Yep. Then we have the Wednesday NFL, NBA. There'll probably be heaps of EPL on as well.
Yeah, that's always going around this sort of time.
So we'll be next on Monday, right? Where we'll have, there'll be plenty to talk about. We'll recap the weekend, all those sports you just said. Plus, we'll get to preview the Christmas stuff. We can have a better preview of the test match on the MCG, where we hopefully know how his injury is and what the lineups are looking like. Should be good.
Oh yeah, should be good. So let's see how we go. Week 16 picks.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, look,
continue the trend.
We're definitely due some bad weeks. Like I don't think we've had have either of us had a losing week since we started doing this?
I've definitely had a 2 and 3.
You have 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if I have, but either way, we've maxed 1 each.
Yeah,
we're due. Yeah. We're due a bad week.
Well,
1 and 4 seems around the corner. I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully that's not this week, and we can keep pushing it back and keep that.
I mean, after what you were saying, hopefully our picks are opposite to what the favourites were saying.
Yeah, look, if we can end the season around 60% as a promo for next year, that is
huge.
Coming in week 1, 60% guys. You know what I mean? Like that's massive right there.
Yeah, that is crazy.
So pressure's on for the last few weeks.
Definitely.
And let's hope the mics. Let's see how the quality goes. We're still teetering with a few things.
Yeah, it's got some pop filters.
Yeah, got some pop filters. Got a new positioning. Got the arms in a different spot. So hopefully that's all.
Got some Christmas on the back.
Yeah, hopefully. We're just trying some things out. We're still early days here,
100%.
And hopefully the quality in the video is looking good. Hopefully the mic quality's been good and consistent throughout, and no pops hopefully it's all good.
Work in progress. In progress.
Just learn it. I feel like by the time the NRL season starts, we're going to be
primed.
Once the NRL and AFL season starts, that's when it's game on. You know what I mean? That's when we need to be. So this is all just teetering, figuring it out, how to post, how to do the videos, and then once it hits NRL and AFL season, we're
100%.
it's game time.
Hey, for all you guys that have come in early on this trend, we appreciate it. So,
and all for you guys on TikTok who are giving a shit, just watch. All right,
keep talking.
Yeah, keep talking, haters. We ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, do you know how many comments I've seen about? Oh, these guys don't even watch it.
Oh, really?
These guys don't even watch anything. They don't know what they're talking about. It is comedy. I love it.
Bro.
I love it.
But honestly, it's amazing how many people just randomly talk shit.
You
see some shit on TikTok.
It's what sports fans are.
Honestly,
like the word fans is from fanatics. Like they're just
you
crazy.
see some stuff on TikTok where it's like someone just goes, lol, laughing face. And like his name's Anon36 something. And I'm like, so you're literally just scrolling through TikTok, just writing random shit, like just trying to, it's just, why do people do this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's always the Anons do, right? Or the people who just, I don't know.
So it's on the NRL stuff as well.
Oh yeah, the NRL.
Don't like the NRL.
I think once the NRL season starts, we're going to get that much engagement because people are so passionate. I think the thing with NRL, I think everyone thinks they're right. Yeah. It's a sport where, especially in Australia, I think a lot of people are very educated, know how to talk and think on these things, and
it's their home sport.
It is.
And
I think NRL, it's not a complicated thing to figure out, right? And the same as AFL, it's a simple game. And there really is no right or wrong. So I think everyone feels like they're right on their opinion on things.
People are going to hate you saying this right now.
Sorry, come at me. I mean, but the thing is, once the NRL season hits and we're just throwing out hot, like what has Colin Coward said? You don't. Our job is not to be right; it's to be entertaining. It's to create engagement. Yeah. So when the NRL season comes out and I'm throwing hot takes, I'm going to be getting shit left, right, and center, man, from these NRL fans. We're going to have to batten down the hatches, but 100%. Hopefully that takes our viewership over the edge, gets a few followers, get some, then now we're going. Haters pay the bills, as they say. Haters pay the bills.
Well, I respect it. But no, let's end it there.
Sounds good. We'll see you Monday.
Catch us.
Peace.